right. Hi everyone. Thanks, Lynn, for the introduction. So, 30 years ago, I walked out of this building, and I didn't honestly think that I would ever be back. So you've all guessed how old I am, but that's also okay. When I was first approached by the university to come and talk to you today, I thought, why would they want to hear from me? If they went back and looked at my marks that I'd got when I'd been studying here, I wouldn't have been the proper candidate to come and talk to you and to inspire you today. But what I am hoping to share with you is just how great you can make your life, even if you didn't plan for it to start out that way. This university is one of the best universities in the world, that I can tell you. Sorry guys, I just want a technical glitch. I should have put it on there.
Now it's on.
Okay. I think you could have heard me previously, but still not. Which one must we? Not, it's this one. But I can hear myself. Hello.
You might have to hold it. Sorry.
Okay, this is the world's largest microphone. Can you hear me now? Testing. Hello, Beyonce. No, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay, cool. Can't remember where I was. Oh yes, what I want to tell you just is that what you sometimes plan for yourself isn't always where you land up going. So I think what I should do is just start at the beginning and then tell you where I am now at the end of my presentation. But when I came here in 1986, I heard that. It is a long time ago. I had all these grand plans. I was going to do a legal BA, and then I was going to do a 2-year LLB, and in 5 years I'd be out of here, and I'd be doing my articles at like a top Cape Town firm, and then I'd just like go up the ranks, and I'd be fabulous before I was 30. That didn't happen that way. So I've done a little bit of a presentation put together by my very able marketing team because I'm completely technologically challenged because I come from a different generation. But I want you to understand that this is not a crash test or a crash course. You don't have to fly in the door and fly out and think that that's how your life is going to be, because that is not, I promise you, how your life is going to be. It's going to be a lot more interesting. And from that, you will learn everything that you need to learn to give you the skills to be really good at your job one day. So I couldn't even pass private law 1. I mean, I failed it 2 years in a row. So for those of you that are studying law, I don't know if there's anyone here who's studying law, you're probably all going, oh, like piece of cake, how come you couldn't even pass that? But I couldn't. So I'd chosen these sort of like slightly sort of ethereal BA subjects, because of course I was going to be in and out in 3 years with my law subjects done and everything, and I was going to do my LLB in 2 years. So I landed up having subjects called classical culture and political philosophy, which was lectured to me in this very building. And needless to say, I think they were some of the best subjects that I'd ever done in my life, because they taught me a lot that law didn't teach me. But they're not exactly going to get you a job. I mean, when I graduated with a BA in those subjects, my mother was like, so what are you actually going to do? Maybe work in a museum? And I was like, no, I'm going to become a lawyer. I decided I was going to be a lawyer, so I'm going to do it. And the chap who was the dean of the law faculty at the time, please don't go back and look up who he was, said to me when I went to speak to him about my career path, he looked at me and he said to me, Juffrou, jy gaan nooit 'n prokureur word nie. So, hello, I did actually. So after I'd got my fabulous BA in these really hot subjects, I then decided I wanted to do an LLB, but then I had to do a 3-year LLB because I hadn't done any law, I couldn't pass the law subject. So I went to UCT and I enrolled for a 3-year LLB, and I sailed through. I absolutely loved it. It was at the time when there was a lot of political activity at UCT. Stellenbosch had been very conservative. We had NUSAS and the End Conscription campaign, and that was about all we could get involved in. Wasn't a lot of political activity, but UCT had lots of it, and it was great. So it really felt like we were proper students, marching for stuff and getting tear gassed and stuff like that. Just made the whole university experience for me really meaningful. I mean, my son is a second-year student at Tucky's at the moment, and I'm like, so what do you guys protest about? He's like, nothing. I'm like, that's really sad. I mean, how can you not be a student if you don't protest about something? So when I graduated with my LLB from UCT, I then obviously had to find articles, but I kind of thought, well, I'm sure it's not going to be that hard to find articles, and I left it very late. So needless to say, I didn't find articles and during my last year at varsity, I didn't look. And that's one piece of advice. If you are doing a law degree and you're doing an LLB, start looking and applying early already in your LLB. Our firm has a great vacation program, and there are other firms that offer that too. So get out there and just get some experience in the work environment, because it really does help you when you start doing your articles. I eventually landed up getting articles in Johannesburg, so I kind of started in the middle of the year because I'd sort of left it a bit late. I mean, I sound slapgat, but I wasn't really. I was just didn't quite know what I wanted to do at that point. And I landed up getting articles in a firm where I had a principal from hell. He was just the most horrible man that I think was ever created. He could not string together a coherent sentence without dropping 50 F-bombs in the sentence at the same time. Being called stupid by him, being called useless by him really did not build my confidence. But it taught me one thing. And as the manager of an amazing team of lawyers who work for me at the moment, it taught me how not to be a boss, how to mentor people, how to take care of your team, how to make people grow, how to empower people, how to make people feel like they're worthy, even if they don't get things right the third or the fourth time, because this is not an easy career that you choose for yourself. I mean, it's a long road, and you don't need to rush it. It's just how life goes. I got married in the second year of my articles, and my husband lived in Pretoria, so I landed up moving to Pretoria, and I just couldn't stand the man, not my husband, but my principal, any longer, and just couldn't bear the drive to Joburg every day. So I ceded my articles for the last 2 months of my articles to a firm in Pretoria, and I landed up working with them for 2 years until my husband and I were fortunate enough to go and live in Europe for 2 years. And what is really interesting to me is that, and it's living proof, that where you start is oftentimes not where you're going to finish. If I look in my firm, I mean, I lose track, but I think we're currently about close to 70 partners. We have 4 offices in South Africa, and we have some offices in Africa too. And of those partners, I don't think that maybe half of them actually started their articles in the firm and then progressed through the ranks. We call ourselves the lateral hires. We brought a lot of spice to the firm. We try to do things differently. We're not very traditional in the way we think, the way we dress, the way we run our teams. And you can see the difference in the firm between people who were kind of like Adams and Adams babies, I call them, that were trained up, so very conservative, because the firm traditionally is rather conservative. And then there are the lateral hires like me and a couple of others who we just do things differently. So when my husband got a job offer in France, we kind of upped sticks and we went to live in Paris for 2 years, and it was one of the best experiences of my life. I had been privileged enough to travel a bit before that, but it really gave me a view on the world. And remember, in those days, there was no internet, there were no cell phones, so if you didn't experience it for yourself, it didn't kind of happen in your life, or it was difficult to relate to the experience. Now you've got the internet where you can look everything up and everything is so accessible, but you still don't get that personal experience of the challenges of living in a country where initially you possibly can't speak the language, but you learn because you have to. And you meet an amazing variety of people, and they teach you different influences and different things that you learn about yourself. And so you grow, and all those experiences you add back into your life, and you take them through into your everyday, the way you work, the way you communicate with people, the way you interact with your clients or your peers or your fellow colleagues. All of those things are important life lessons. When we came back from France, I then had to find a job, so I went back to the firm where I'd worked previously. And then I had a baby, and my life changed a little bit, and then I actually stopped practicing. I was like, I can't do this anymore. I've had enough of this general law practice, because I was practicing really in general litigation, doing general legal matters, drafting contracts, doing divorces. Was dreadful. And I decided to just resign from the partnership where I was working, and I landed up lecturing to paralegals, not law students, paralegals. Really just doodgewone mense that were trying to give themselves a skill that would put them forward in life. And what an enriching experience it was for me. Just to not deal, I'm not suggesting that it's not enriching to deal with you, but to deal with people that are so desperate for knowledge, because if they get the qualification, it has such a profound impact on their lives and on their earning capacity and what they can do with that qualification. And while I was doing that, I was actually approached by Adams & Adams. And they phoned me and they said to me, am I looking for a job? And I was like, no, not in law. And I kind of like convinced myself, well, maybe I should go for the interview. And I went for the interview, and here were these old toppies in these like stuffy suits. And I was like, oh, I don't think I can work in a place like this. This is like not me at all, you know. Anyway, they made me an offer, and as a friend of mine said, moenie dom wees nie. When Adams & Adams offers you a job, you take it. And that was in 2001. And there I am. 17 years later, I'm still there. Every single firm that I worked for before I joined Adams & Adams no longer exists. And you need to understand what the impact of that is, actually. We are talking about people who had viable practices, who had great clients, who had awesome staff working for them, and somehow they just couldn't keep it together. And that's because if you don't learn, and if you don't reinvent yourself, and if you don't adapt to suit your environment and the needs of your clients, you will not survive. So I think for me, I mean, I turned 50 this year, so it was a bit of an epiphany in my life. I was like, oh, I'm officially old. My son is 20. And when I was asked to come and talk to you, I said to him, well, what am I going to say, you know? He was like, number one, I was like, got it all sorted. Number one, don't talk to them like they're children. Number two, don't try to be cool. It's really not funny. And number three, don't freak them out about the real world like you freak me out every week about how bad the real world is. So with that in mind, I was asked to try and put together some top 5 tips for you to help guide you along this amazing path of success. And when I was asked to come and speak to you, it was really quite a profound experience for me, because for the first time in my life, I spent weeks thinking about myself. I was like, oh, what am I going to, I mean, how am I going to inspire a bunch of students? I was pretty sucky as a student myself. Not that you are, I'm sure you're all top brass. I mean, it's not easy to fail your main subject 2 years in a row and then to start going, okay, but that is exactly how life is going to be. You're going to have a plan, and life is going to chuck lemons at you, and you better get the juicer out. Because if you don't get that juicer out, you're going to be like those guys in those firms that I worked for, who's not going to be able to move yourself forward and still believe in yourself. Because that's the big thing. You really have to believe in yourself. It's tough out there. Competition is huge. In fact, I think it's fair for me to say that it's much tougher for you students today than it ever was for us. We didn't have so much competition. I mean, not saying life was a breeze, but I think that you guys really, really, really have a tough. I mean, in our firm we take about 21 to 23 CAs every year. Think how many people are in your law class, and that's just this university. So you've got to really be sparky. And sparky doesn't always mean like 80 or 85 or 90 for everything. You've got to bring something else to the equation that sets you apart. So I often say to people, I think my career was slightly accidental, and this was something that I thought of when I had to think about what I was going to talk to you about. I thought, well, I actually didn't really plan to be where I am today, but somehow I got there. And I had to go back and think about what were the basic principles that I applied to my life every day, and still do, actually, because don't think that if you're 50, you stop learning. I'm already thinking about my retirement, which is I'm hoping will be before 15 years is up. So something as simple as make your bed. I'm not kidding you. It is the best way to start your day. Just get your SH together. Just start your day with something that doesn't require any brain power, but that just requires you to focus and get that one task done. You will be amazed how great you feel when you look at it and you go like, I made my bed. I actually made my bed. Yeah, I have a 20-year-old son. If we didn't have a housekeeper, he probably wouldn't know how to make a bed. So it's like, because that is a symbol of how the rest of your life should actually be. Just take responsibility for your life. Stop blaming your mother or your father or the varsity or the prof or... sometimes my son comes home and he's like, oh, they asked us all this crap we don't know. I'm like, yeah, because they're not going to ask you what you do know. I mean, that's not why you're here. You're here to learn, not to just regurgitate whatever you've been told. So honestly, make that you can have a plan for yourself, but expect that it might not go your way and that there are going to be detours along the way. And just go with that. Don't fight against it. Don't try and outrun the wave, because you're not going to outrun it. You're going to have to take ownership of the wave and then just say, okay, I know what I'm going to do here. And be patient with your career. I cannot tell you how important that is. I graduated at the age of, I came here when I was 17, so I was quite young, which might explain the inability to pass a basic subject. But so when I graduated with my LLB, I was 22. And I mean, really, what do you know at 22? You know your little world, which is getting in your car or on the bus and going to class every day and coming and just being in your own environment. You know, there are outside activities and interests that you have, but you don't pay much attention to them when you're at university because you're too busy planning your career, where you're going to be in 5 years, where you're going to be in 10 years. It's the most dumbass question that anybody asks you if you go for an interview. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? I don't know, alive? I mean... And if you don't say in your firm, then they're, not a good plan. So, I mean, I was the staff partner in the Trademark Litigation Department for a number of years, and we used to come and go to all the universities and do graduate recruitment. And my fellow partner who used to travel with me, he's like a real oak, you know, he's like, what are the marks like? I'm like, who cares about their marks? He's like, I do. I'm like, no, you shouldn't. It's not everything. Because there's a lot more to an individual. You don't know why somebody did badly on a day. They could have had a bad experience, or it's just about having a deeper understanding, really, of what life is about. So be patient with your career. Have a basic plan of where you'd like to be. I want to be a lawyer. Cool, that's good. I maybe want to do this kind of law. I mean, I only started doing trademark law at the age of 33. I resigned as a partner in my previous practice, came into that firm, and was trained by candidate attorneys who were like 22 and 23 years old. They were like 10 years younger than me, and I knew nothing. I didn't know anything about trademarks. I mean, I knew what branding was all about, but that was about it. So be prepared to just experience the detours and the curves along the way. I cannot overemphasize how important it is to develop soft skills. It's fantastic if you know your work. It's fantastic if you know your subjects. It's great if you know where to find the answers to everything. But when you are a lawyer in a practice, it doesn't matter how big that practice is. There's a certain group of people that you will work with who will immediately look up to you and will admire you. So don't behave like a twit, okay? Be respectful. Show that you are worthy of people's respect. Some people, when they become lawyers, become complete assholes. They think, oh, I'm so great, you know, this is like hotshot lawyer, I work in this like amazing firm, I'm like cruising the corridors going yo, yo to everybody. Really? No. It's like, don't be that guy or girl. It's really not pleasant. Nobody will like you. And I promise you, when you are at the bottom of a food chain in a firm, you got to ask people to help you, secretaries to do your typing, filing clerks to draw your files for you, because yes, we still have paper, even in this day and age. And if you behave like a complete twit, they are not going to help you. And there's no way you can force them to, because secretaries are like, I always tease people and say, I work for my secretary, she doesn't work for me. They are like the gods in charge of your team. You have to kind of like go with them, because they determine your day for you. So develop those soft skills. Understand that in one environment and in one space, you can have a multitude of people that you will communicate with every single day on different levels. In our firm, we have guys who wash our cars. My car gets washed every Monday. I know every car washer's name. I'm like, how's it? You greet them, you're respectful towards them, you know the person who cleans your office, you're respectful towards her, you are, with your clients, you are professional, but if you build a relationship with them, then you can also become slightly less professional with them. But just develop those skills, because that's one thing that I find is honestly lacking. When a candidate attorney comes into my office and they're chewing gum, I want to like make them choke on it, okay? It is really ugly. Nobody wants to see that. One of the most important things about working in a firm where if you are a lawyer or if you're doing your articles for accounting or if you work in any job where you're part of a team is to learn to be part of a team. And it's sometimes difficult because at university you're very much flying solo most of the time. So you're focusing on yourself, you're focusing on your subjects, you're focusing on getting your degree. Maybe you want to win the Chancellor's Medal, go for it. But when you get to the real work environment, you are not going to be on your own. You're going to be part of a team. And there's nothing worse than somebody who refuses to help somebody else in the team. People who throw other team members under the bus. I mean, I've told my team when they first joined me, I'm like, I am the bus. I decide who goes under it, okay? And if I hear one of you skinnering about someone else or come to tell me this one hasn't done their work, it's not your job, okay? Just be a team player. You'll be amazed at how supportive and how much easier your job will be if you can work in a team and work with other people. Yeah, this was something I never had. I never had a mentor. Because, as I said, my principal was really not mentorship quality. Although, in hindsight, I think he did teach me a lot, actually. Didn't feel like it at the time, but I just felt like I was constantly being kicked and punched. But you need to find somebody that you can go to for advice, somebody that you trust. It doesn't have to be somebody older than you, because older people can tell you don't necessarily have all the answers to everything. But it must be somebody that you respect, so that when you share your hopes, dreams, passions, failures, successes, everything with that person, you trust the advice that they give you. It's part of the whole kind of like empowerment and giving back that I think a lot of professional people need to do. So, because I never had a mentor for me, I like to be a mentor to my team members. And sorry, they're all women. We don't have a guy in our team. And we did, but he emigrated. Shame. I think he was a bit like outnumbered. So you can imagine, like 5 lawyers, all women, working together every day. Woo, you know when it's time and everybody's like on spielkes and like, you know, you just have to bring everybody together and say, okay, chill. Can I carry your bag this week? You must carry my bag next week, and that's how it goes. So find that person that you know you can go to. It might be a lecturer here at the university, or it could be someone in your profession or in your community. But somebody that you know, nie gaan uitpraat nie. And be prepared to learn from them. Yeah, I cannot, this is like something that I only did, like when I turned 40, I think. I realized you neglect yourself when you're in the rat race. You know, you're so busy just trying to keep your head above water, you're trying to get through your work every day, you're trying to keep your boss happy, keep your clients happy, keep your family. It's quite tough when you're a wife and a mother, and if you don't have a husband like me, then it is even tougher. My husband is he's been well trained after 25 years. So you need to take time out for yourself. I don't care if it's yoga or kickboxing or cage fighting. I found out the other day, one of our candidate attorneys, I think he might have studied here, so I'm not going to mention his name, does like cage fighting. He's like the softest puppy dog ever. I was like, yo, Who would have thought that, okay? So everybody's got a secret. So find something that gives you an outlet. I started running at the age of 48, no kidding. I mean, I couldn't run from here to there, but I've got up to 10 Ks already. It took a while, but I'm getting there. So just do something that makes you switch off from your normal day. Find a hobby or a sport, and if you do have the funds available, travel. There is something about seeing how the rest of the world lives to make you truly appreciate this amazing country we live in. We actually have no idea. There's so much negativity about this place and so much negativity about our government and about what's going on. I'm not going to turn this into a political speech, but we are lucky. There are people in this country that care about this place. They care about you. They care about giving you opportunities. They care about helping you to build your career. They want to help you. And it's happening. In other countries, people don't give an SHIT about young people, what's going on, because they're all so progressed. They're all so first world. You know, there's like, what are they going to do? You just have to fit in or you have to fall out the bus. This country still has so many opportunities. So take them. Take time off. I mean, go on a holiday, even if it's local. You don't have to travel overseas to learn stuff, but go somewhere that puts you out of your comfort zone. Go to I don't know, Postmasburg in the Northern Cape and see what it's like to live there. Or go to the Western Transvaal where the Boere oomies drive their trucks and still wear vellies. Go and see what South Africa is really all about and learn from those people, because prejudice is alive and well, and it makes you think that all people that live in a certain place or speak a certain language or behave in a certain way are all labeled as the same. It ain't like that. And that you will learn when you start to work. Not everybody is the same. Yeah, I think the whole purpose of the title of It's Not a Crash Test is like there's no rush, okay? Have plans. Try and see what you can get out of life. Make the most of every experience that you have. Try and take those negative things and make them positive. Don't just sit in a corner and chunk and go, oh, my life is so miserable, I'm never going to get over this. And sure, personal tragedies aside. Career choices, you may change your career. You may land up going into another direction. I think when you start studying something that's quite general like law, you have an idea, you've all watched Suits, so everyone wants to be like Harvey Specter. And first of all, suits are like 80s. We don't wear suits anymore. It's too hot anyway. Who wants to walk around in a suit all day long? I mean, the guys in our firm still do. You know, when we decided to go without ties, I can't tell you what that was like. It was like, oh, we're going to lose our tradition of wearing ties. I'm like, well, come to work in a café, and I don't care. As long as you're here every day and you inspire people. That's really what it's about. So take whatever people throw at you and turn them into positive experiences for yourself. A lot of people sometimes ask me that, so the legal fraternity is perceived to be very male-dominated. I'm happy to share with you that is fast changing. And if I look in our firm alone, so our trademark, so maybe I can just tell you a little bit about our firm. I mean, we turned 110 years old this year, so yeah, really old and long history. There really were two guys called Adams and Adams. They were brothers that started the firm, and it started out as purely an intellectual property law firm. Over the years, it's evolved, reinvented itself, because it must in order to cope with the changing times and with needs of clients, like you do. I mean, when you start to practice, you may land up doing one type of law that you never thought you were going to ever practice, simply because an opportunity arises. And do not be fearful of those opportunities. Just say, cool, I'm going to try this. And then, so in the intellectual property law department, we have a patent department where you have to be really clever to work, because you need to have like a technical degree like engineering or a BSc, and then you do a law degree afterwards. So you kind of protect people's inventions. That's what those clever folks do. And then in the trademark department, we have two separate departments. One that deals with getting registration of trademarks. So if you come up with a funky brand for something, then you come and see us and we register your trademark for you. And then we have my department, which is the trademark litigation department, where we fight to protect your trademarks for you. So it's a litigious practice, okay? But it's all about branding. And I have a number of clients that work in a variety of industries. So the most interesting thing for me about my career is that even though I apply the same law to most of my cases, no two cases are ever the same because the clients' businesses are different. And out of that, I have learned about the wine industry, not that I needed much encouragement on that front, but I learned about the pharmaceutical industry because I have a huge number of international pharmaceutical clients. I have tobacco clients. Yeah, the industry is still chugging along. Even though, I hope none of you smoke, if I could give up, you can all give up. Just a variety of clients in different industries. And all of those things make your life so interesting because you learn about what they do, what do they produce, how do they produce it. And our practice is global. So for our South African clients, we will do cases for them all over the world through attorneys in different countries, but we will run the matters from South Africa. And then for our foreign clients, we do all their work throughout Africa. So it's a really very enriching practice. It's not just every day trundling off to the High Court or the Magistrates Court to go and argue, because that's what I did. When I started my articles, on the second day, horrible Harold came into my office with like a pile of files and said, well, you're going to court tomorrow. And I was like, And he was like, yeah, you've got motion court. I was like, I remember learning about that, motion court. Phone the junior partner, what the hell is motion court? I've got to go tomorrow with these like 20 files. He's like, read the files and you'll work it out for yourself. I was like, oh, helpful, okay. So that was how I started. You go from university into the work environment, and on the second day, you've got to get your stuff together and you've got a spark. And he was not the kind of guy that you could come back from court and say, oh, no, we didn't win this one because it was, magistrate. I didn't understand what the magistrate was saying. So that whole learning curve starts when you do your articles, but it never ends. About 5 years ago, one of my big dairy clients asked me if I could help them with some food law advice. And I was like, I suppose I can. I don't know, how much time do I have? And he was like, oh, no rush. I'm like, don't tell a lawyer no rush. Give me a timeline. He was like, can you come back to me within 3 weeks? I was like, I'm sure I can upskill myself in 3 weeks. And from that, we've developed a massive regulatory practice. We have given advice on adult toys, dog food, meat products, any kind of food stuff, pharmaceutical work, clothing, everything, just because we decided we were going to take up this challenge and run with it. In my current position, we have in our Trademark Litigation Department, we have 4 separate teams, and in my team, we are 4 attorneys and 4 partners, and we have, under each of us, we have a number of junior attorneys that work for us. So we are like an independent little business all on our own. We get a fee budget, which is massive. So everybody's got to write fees because this is a business after all. It's not a charity. I mean, we have to keep ourselves going. We have to pay salaries at the end of every month. So don't think that if you study a professional degree like law or engineering or accounting that all you're going to do is just practice law. You're going to have a little office with your laptop or your computer and a secretary who'll type for you and a filing clerk and super stylish. You'll just sit there all day and do legal work. That is possibly 20% of what you will do every day. The rest is management. Learning how to manage people. We were never taught management at university when we studied law. We were never given a management course. Now you get to work and all of a sudden you've got a secretary that you've got to ask to help you and you don't quite know how to manage her and she's maybe got a bit of a lousy attitude. So you've got to kind of like work around that, tread carefully. Those are skills that nobody teaches you. That's like on-the-job training that you learn. So if you ever get the opportunity to do vacation work in a law firm, I never did because I was on holiday. I mean, I want to do work. Why do you want to do work? It's like we're studying so hard the whole year. You need like 3 months off. No, you don't. You can do a vacation job for 2 weeks in every December or 1 week in every July, and it will help you so much. It'll help you to understand the environment that you're going to find yourself in, because I had never been in a professional environment. My father was a banker and my mother was a housewife, so and they loved us and thought we were fabulous, so there was never any issue there. Aren't we all like that, in a way? So when you start to work, you realize it's not that simple. and what your career is not what you'll end up doing every single day. It's a lot more than that. And then as you get older and as you progress and you move up the ranks in your organization, you will get more and more responsibility. Okay, I've got to sign for 5 minutes. Does that mean that until the whole show's over?
No, until you, yeah.
Until I must be finished. Okay, but then maybe I should just stop. And if you've got questions, no, you're also clever, don't have questions.